Hi everyone, welcome into this week's My Weekly CBS Fix. In this week's Parsha, the Parshas Noach, we can try to touch on two subjects. One of them is the rainbow. The rainbow was a covenant that Hashem made between Noach and Hashem, that forever he will no longer bring a deluge or a flood to the entire world. And it is mistakenly understood that the rainbow is a sign of peace, because in a certain sense it seems to be that God says that he will never destroy the world, and he used the rainbow as the sign for Noah that from now on it's going to be a sign that Hashem is promising that he'll never destroy the world. And the truth is that while it does mean peace, but what it really means is that Hashem is actually trying to display that were it not for his promise, he would destroy the world. But because mankind eventually has to come to its ultimate fulfillment, destroying the entire world will delay that. But in no way should we think that when we see a rainbow that God is actually pleased or that Hashem is actually pleased. It's quite the contrary. He's actually displeased. And the only reason he's not destroying the world is because in his great kindness, he actually keeps his word, unlike us human beings. Hashem has the power and the ability to be able to keep his word simply for the fact that he said so. That's the way it is. But we have to know that if we see a rainbow happens right after it rains, and that rain could have eventually become so heavy and non-stop that eventually the world would just disintegrate. Another thing I want to touch on, which brings us to the next subject, is global warming. A lot of people are concerned about global warming. The ice caps are starting to melt, and the rivers and the oceans are now 2 inches higher, 3 inches higher, and there's a catastrophe. And Raje tells us that Hashem made a promise that Yom v'layla lo yishbosu, nothing will ever change. There will always be winter, there will always be spring, there will always be summer, and there will always be a fall. Everything will always be seasonal, and that is a guarantee that the Torah gives us. So sleep soundly, everybody. There will always be winters, it will be cold, and everything is guided by Hashem and not by accident. The third thing I'd like to talk about is the issue of abortion. The reason why I bring that up is because one of the 7 Noahide laws, actually there was 6 laws that everybody had to keep, the 6 laws that were given to Adam, and then the 7th one was added during the times of Noah. That was not to eat Arim and Achai, a limb from a live being, but nevertheless, one of those 7 is thou shalt not murder. It was another commandment given in the 10 Commandments, but it include other prohibitions as well. And these laws, these 7 Noahide laws, are given to all people, not just Jewish people, and one of them is not to murder. And as the Medrash clearly states, even a child inside its mother's womb, there is a prohibition to put that child, to kill that child. And of course, there are certain circumstances that it may be permitted. Ask your local Orthodox rabbi who knows this when it is, but of course, this shouldn't be applicable to anybody. But make no mistake, aborting a child is against the Torah. I just want to be clear. And it is punishable by death. And again, this is not a law for Jews, it's a law for everybody. And so those 3, I just wanted to mention those 3 things to you: the rainbow, the global warming, and abortion. These are items, these are topics that are discussed often. I get asked a lot about them, and I just want to bring some light to that. Have a great Shabbos. Talk to you next week.